Hi, and welcome back. My name is Antonio Serif from CRRNTN.com. Today we'll continue the Hollywood movie title series. We're going to be looking at the animation style of movie Green Lantern. At the end of this tutorial, you can learn how to draw and animate your own title with this incredible style. The actual example of the Green Lantern movie title is just for training purposes and is not to be used in a final project without permission from the original creators. In the first part in Cinema 4D, we will make a extrude of the lantern emblem, and we insert the letters of the logo with Modex tool. We will complete in After Effects the styling compose with color correction and adding the optical flares in the references exported by the file AEC. OK. Open the file Start on Cinema. As we can see, I have organized the files in order to be ready to begin the tutorial. I applied on the emblem, and extrude NURBS. For obtain this spline, I used the 2D drawing tools. Very simple and fast. For the text, Green and Lantern, instead I used directly the Modex tool, applying a font squared linear. Exist many fonts. With this style, you can choose what you like. By analyzing in detail the parameters of the extrusion of the emblem, we have a depth of 200. Fillet cap with radius 8, and step 1, in linear mode. With the check constraint activated. For the Modex tool, it is always in linear mode. With steps 1, and radius 2. Again here, the check constraint is active. This is the R basis of logo. In the coordinates panel of the camera, I inserted in Z position, -1920. Perfect. We proceed with the insertion of the light system and materials. Have no fear, the strategic distribution of lights and lens flares references is very simple. First of all, the lights that give enlightenment to our scene are two: the area light and omni light. They are arranged in this way: one frontal left, and one right behind. They are both almost at the ends of the logo. In this way, we have a lighting which stands out the gradient material of the logo. The intensity ranges from 75 to 100%. I applied a pale green color with these values 220, 252, and 208. In this case, I did not apply shadows maps. All other omni lights are just a reference for the application of optical flares directly in After Effects. They do not give any support of light in the animated sequence in Cinema. In this logo, are arranged 2 on logo, and 2 on the emblem lantern. And the references of the lens flares, they will be animated with the logo, and the movement of the camera. In this way we have perfectly the movement of the lens flares in the camera already synchronized with the rendered sequence of the 3D video. OK, let's proceed with the next step with the insertion of materials. This is the result with the materials. Very cool. For text Green Lantern, I use 3 materials. The body, in UVW mapping mode. The bevel, with cubic and R1 selection. Finally, the fillet cap, in cubic mode, with selection, C1. The bevel material is a simple white material, with brightness to 120. The cap material is with the addition of reflection and specular. I applied a gradient color with light gray. On reflection, I inserted a Fresnel texture. Finally, in the specular panel, we have default values. Same for the material body, always with the Fresnel texture. The only difference is that on the color gradient has the orientation color, inverse than the fillet cap. I applied the same principle on the lantern emblem, with two materials. One for the body and one for emphasize more clear the linear bevel. To achieve this, I added a luminance channel, with the green color to 33%. To obtain this interesting fractal effect, I superimposed two noise texture, one on color, and one on alpha panel. This type of texture can be animated on cinema. However, there is another very effective method to achieve this effect. You can create a simple green glass material, and by an alpha channel, in After Effects you can apply a fantastic trapcode form. You can choose the method that you like, both will be great. We continue with animation step. I show you what happens with this aerial view. Our entire sequence has a duration of 65 frames. This is the view of the camera. We have the camera that starts with Z position in frame 0 to -180. In frame 20, the value is -1690. And finally in frame 65, the final value, -1920. During the movement of the camera, the two Modex green lantern, they start with Z position in frame 0 to -800. To finish at frame 45 to 0. As we can see, the various lens flares that have been incorporated internally on the Modex layers serve to have the same parent movement. Simple and intuitive. In this way, you can export your file AEC from Cinema with all animation references position coordinates. With this method, then in After Effects, you can apply the effects of lens flare that you like. Null, or optical flares. With the same simple technique, I also added the two lights of our project, so we have the same lighting on the logo and lantern emblem throughout the sequence. I love it. We proceed with the settings of 3D rendering. 1920. 816. All frames. As mentioned previously, we have only the references of the lights. So we can disable the check, lens flares, because we're not serving. Obviously, anti-aliasing on best. I forgot, the logo and emblem must be rendered separately to work better in After Effects. These are the videos, which are used for the styling compose. Logo. The background. The lantern emblem. I also added another video, with a more defined fractal on lantern emblem. This video is optional, you can get it quickly with trapcode form. Finally, the audio file. OK. Open the file preview on After Effects. As we can see, the file is structured in various pre-compose, where the various effects are applied and assembled together in the main pre-comp, with the suffix preview. This is the basis of the logo, with the background. To get this effect, I added a nebulous pre-compose with a fractal noise effect. Finally, we have the pre-comp of lens flares, which, as I mentioned earlier, is obtained by processing the AEC file, create from Cinema. Adding up all the layers, we obtain the final preview. OK, now we analyze the various steps. On the background BG, I have applied a levels effect, with gamma 0.8. In this way, we make darker a color. The space fractal noise layer is active in overlay mode. As we can see, it has a sequence animation along the z-axis position. Together with a duplicated camera from the AEC file. To simulate the fading of the nebula at the end of the sequence, I applied an interpolation on brightness, from frame 40, with value 26, to go to frame 65, with value 63. This is the result. In the first video emblem, I added an exposure, a glow effect and a tritone with these values. During the first part of the sequence, the tritone effect has the blend value 0. This give a dark green shade. In frame 4, the blend value becomes 100, so reveals the classic emerald green color. To improve the impact of the emblem, I added an interpolation to exposure and the gamma, with the following values: 0 and 0.45, in frame 5, 3.6 and 0.53. And finally, in frame 25, with values 3.4 and 0.6. As I said, this video layer is optional, if you want to add detail to the effect of the energy of the lantern. In this case, I added a double emblem video layer, with a simple glow effect with default values. Add mode. In frame 0, the opacity starts with value 23. Becomes a 100% in the frame 7. Very interesting. Finally, in this block, we have the layer of the logo, where I added a glow effect. With these values 35, 12 and 0.5. This makes the softer contours of the logo, and the color brighter. This is the result of the pre-comp generated by AEC file from Cinema. As you can see, we have the light layer references. I strategically renamed with the suffix A, B, C and D. So, optical flares can import and manage each one individually. Obviously, we also have the automatic animation of the camera. I added double solid layers where I applied on each light layer references, the optical flares effect. One with an animation of rotation, and one with only the horizontal light line. With this system, we can manage all the lens flares separated. really great. For the realization of this type of lens flare, I used the various elements to the composition and colors. In order to adapt them to our animation, you can apply your favorite type of lens flare, and the animation you want. This step is repeated on the lights, A, B, and C, while not required on the D, because there is only the beginning of the sequence, with a great light intensity. Okay, this is the final result. That being said, the entire block is inserted in main pre-comp in add mode. In this case, on each lens flare, from cinema, I inserted a small interpolations of movement on X position to move the two lens, above and below the E letters. And in that central, slightly above inside the circle arc, of the lantern emblem. Okay, add the audio file and proceed with the final rendering. This is the result of the project. Wow! Very incredible! I recommend you apply this technique on logos with square letters, accompanied by a large symbol or emblem, to appreciate the final result. I remind you the next appointment for the tutorial on the movie title style Super 8. Another fascinating animation. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Seri from crrntn.com. Cheers.